The temperature in a bank manager's office is kept exactly at 68 degrees. It's not for comfort. It's to keep you slightly uncomfortable and eager to sign whatever glossy contract they slide across that mahogany desk. You walk in thinking you are the client. You aren't. You are the product. And the guy smiling at you, offering a complimentary, sparkling water, is the harvester. Society tells you financial intelligence is about making more money. But if you look closely at the true upper percentiles of wealth, the people who actually own their time, you will notice a glaring pattern. They categorically refuse to touch specific financial mechanisms the middle class treats as normal. They treat retail banking products like radioactive waste. Modern finance isn't designed to protect your purchasing power. It is engineered to bleed it out slowly, so you never feel the cut. Let's look at the first layer of the maze, the dopamine tax. Meet Marcus. He pulls in $90,000 a year. By traditional metrics, he is successful. He wears a heavy diver's watch, his apartment looks great, and his credit limit makes him feel invincible. Marcus is what we call premium broke. He has everything he wants, but he doesn't own a single second of his own future. The trap that caught him didn't look like a trap. It looked like a favor. Convenience is just the corporate word for voluntary financial submission. Burn that into your brain. Marcus goes to buy a $1,500 phone. He has the cash. But at checkout, the screen flashes a brilliant offer. Buy now, pay later. 4 easy installments. 0% interest. It feels like a clever hack. Why spend his money when he can use theirs? This is the buy now, pay later delusion. What he doesn't see is the behavioral architecture behind that screen. These institutions are monetizing human impatience. When you split a purchase into microscopic payments, your brain stops calculating the total cost. You stop feeling the pain. So you add a premium case and wireless earbuds. Suddenly, you are financing depreciating plastic with the aggressive debt strategies a corporation uses for real estate. The real venom is in deferred interest store cards. They lure you in with 12 months of zero interest on a $3,000 couch. It sounds smart, but read the fine print. If you miss a payment by 1 hour or leave a $10 balance on month 13, the system retroactively slaps you with a 29% penalty on the original price from day one. You didn't get free money. You stepped onto a landmine. They hand you the cheese, perfectly placed on the trigger, knowing statistically that human life is chaotic. A tire blows out. You miss one payment, and the trap snaps shut. You might think you are outsmarting them by paying it off on time, but the crazy part isn't that they engineered these contracts to feed on error. The crazy part is the invisible psychology that makes a supposedly smart guy walk right back into the slaughterhouse a second time. The reason Marcus goes back into the trap isn't because he is stupid. It's because the system knows exactly which psychological levers to pull. The first lever was dopamine. The second lever is fear. They don't just want to tax your desires. They want to monetize your anxiety. You finally pay off the overpriced television or the luxury appliance. You feel a brief moment of relief. Then, the cashier or the dealership finance guy leans in, drops his voice an octave, and asks the magic question. Would you like to add the extended protection plan? It's just a few dollars a month for total peace of mind. Peace of mind is the most expensive commodity corporations sell, and it is almost always a counterfeit product. You are not buying protection. You are paying a tax on statistical illiteracy. These companies employ entire floors of actuaries who map out the exact lifespan of that washing machine, laptop, or transmission. They know with brutal mathematical certainty that the product will not fail during the warranty window. Or if it does, the microscopic print guarantees your specific type of water damage or mechanical wear isn't covered anyway. You just handed them pure, unadulterated profit. You bought an imaginary shield because the fear of a sudden expense outweighs your ability to do basic math. You let them turn your natural human caution into a recurring revenue stream. But retail warranties are child's play. The electronics guys just picking your pocket for loose change. The real predators wear custom suits, call themselves wealth managers, and invite you to expensive steakhouses. They don't sell warranties on your television. They sell warranties on your life. And they use the darkest manipulation tactic of all, convincing you that loving your family means buying the most toxic financial product ever conceived by Wall Street. Hack 2. Engineered paranoia. Whole life insurance is the financial industry's masterpiece. It is a velvet-lined cage designed to trap the middle class for decades. The pitch is incredibly seductive. They tell you to protect your family while simultaneously building a guaranteed savings account. It sounds like the ultimate hybrid, a bulletproof vest that pays dividends. But here is the cold reality. Whole life insurance is what happens when you combine a terrible investment with an overpriced insurance policy. The salesman, who is pocketing your entire first year of premiums as his commission, will never show you the actual math. He just hands you glossy brochures showing happy families on sailboats. You pump $700 a month into this black box. A tiny fraction goes to the actual insurance. The rest goes into a cash value account that generates a pathetic, inflation-losing return. But the true genius of this mousetrap is the locking mechanism. If you want to access your own money to buy a house or fund a business, the company charges you interest to borrow it. You are literally paying a massive institution for the privilege of borrowing your own savings. And the ultimate punchline: when you die, they pay your family the death benefit. But the insurance company completely absorbs your accumulated cash value. It vanishes. They engineered a system where you fund their investments, you take all the liquidity risk, and you thank them for the illusion of safety. It is the perfect extraction engine. You are running on the wheel, sweating out your prime working years, absolutely convinced you are building a legacy. But you aren't building a legacy for your kids. You are funding the annual bonuses of corporate executives who view your fear of death as their primary asset class. They keep you trapped in this cycle, making sure you never look closely at the real numbers. Because if you did, you would realize the math is eating you alive. The math isn't just eating you alive, it is actively accelerating your financial decay. This brings us to the exact reason, the invisible pattern, that makes high IQ individuals categorically refuse these mass-market products. The wealthy don't just understand basic math. They understand the brutal, unforgiving nature of reverse compounding. While normal compounding builds wealth exponentially, the products pushed by banks and brokers are mathematically structured to destroy your net worth exponentially. High IQ people refuse them because they see the core mechanism. These contracts legally obligate the buyer to absorb 100% of an asset's depreciation while simultaneously paying compound interest to the institution. Let's watch this execution in real time. Hack 3. The negative equity. Death spiral. You walk into a dealership, you drive a car worth $10,000, but you owe $15,000. You are $5,000 underwater. You want a new SUV priced at $30,000. The salesman smiles. Don't worry, we can roll that negative equity into the new financing. It sounds like a magical accounting trick. It is actually financial suicide. You are now financing $35,000 on an asset worth $30,000 the second you start the engine. To keep the monthly payment affordable, the finance manager stretches the loan to 84 months at 9% interest. Let's do the brutal math. Your monthly payment is $563. Over 7 years, you will hand them over $47,000. You just paid $47,000 for a vehicle that will be worth barely $12,000 when the loan finishes. Worse, you spent years paying compound interest on the ghost of your previous car. The dealership didn't do you a favor. They trapped you in a negative equity death spiral. Hack 4. Reverse compounding execution. If auto loans are a trap, timeshares are a financial black hole. They sit you in a high-pressure room and convince you that dropping $20,000 today secures your family's vacation memories forever. But a timeshare is not real estate. It is a prepaid liability. The true poison isn't the upfront cost. It is the annual maintenance fee. Let's say it starts at $200. The salesman conveniently forgets to emphasize that these fees typically increase by 5% annually. Over a single decade, you will pay $15,000 just in maintenance fees, plus your initial $20,000. That is $35,000 evaporated. When you try to sell it, you discover the ultimate punchline. The resale market is non-existent. You can find thousands of timeshares listed online for $1, and nobody will take them. High IQ money refuses to assume a legally binding, infinitely inflating liability. You didn't buy a piece of a resort. You signed a contract allowing a corporation to harvest your future income in perpetuity. The only way out isn't to negotiate. It is to walk away. So how do the truly wealthy avoid this? The wealthy avoid the trap by understanding a fundamental truth that the middle class ignores. They realize that a bank isn't a financial sanctuary. It's a highly optimized retail store, and the products on the shelves are designed to enrich the store, not the customer. If you walk into a store asking the cashier what you should buy, you're going to leave with the highest margin item they're forced to sell. When a high IQ individual needs to store or move money, they treat the bank as a dumb utility, like plumbing. You use the pipes to move water from point A to point B. You don't ask the plumber for life advice. Yet, millions of people sit across from a guy in a cheap suit, listening to him explain why a whole life insurance policy is the key to generational wealth, completely ignoring the fact that the advisor's own wealth is entirely dependent on extracting fees from your paycheck. This brings us to the core mechanism of the escape. Hack 5. The asymmetry of advice. The game is rigged through information asymmetry. The institution has an army of quants, behavioral psychologists, and lawyers. You have a glossy brochure. The moment you sign a complex financial contract that you don't fully understand, you've already lost. If a financial product requires a 40-page booklet to explain its benefits, it isn't an investment. It's a camouflage net. True wealth-building vehicles are incredibly boring and brutally simple. You buy a piece of a profitable business. You buy a piece of land. You buy an index fund that tracks the top 500 companies in America. That's it. There isn't a secret VIP room where the elites trade exotic derivatives to get rich. They get rich by acquiring pure, unadulterated equity, and they hold it for decades while the rest of the world is busy refinancing their kitchen remodels to buy jet skis. Here's a decree you need to internalize. Society views a massive credit limit and a premium rewards card as a badge of honor. I view them as a precisely measured leash. The longer the leash, the more the dog believes it's free. right up until the moment it runs out of slack and the collar chokes. The people who actually exit the maze don't care about credit limits. They don't care about airline miles. They don't care about platinum status. They care about cutting the leash entirely. This requires a complete psychological rewrite. You have to stop playing their game and start building your own infrastructure in the dark. Hack 6. The Ghost Portfolio Architecture. The final step out of the rat race is embracing stealth wealth. The middle class loudly broadcast their imaginary wealth through depreciating liabilities. They want the neighbor to see the new driveway. They want the waitress to see the heavy metal card. They're terrified of looking poor, so they guarantee they'll never be rich. The true survivors operate as ghosts. They drive a 6-year-old sedan that's paid off. Their clothes don't have luxury logos. Their watches don't sparkle. But behind that incredibly average, boring exterior is an absolute fortress of financial violence. Their capital is entirely deployed into productive assets that generate cash flow while they sleep. They don't buy things to look wealthy. They buy assets to buy back their own finite time. The ultimate power in this world isn't pulling up to a red light in a $90,000 truck you don't actually own. The ultimate power is having the financial immunity to look your boss in the eye on a Tuesday morning, realize you no longer tolerate the disrespect, and walk out the door without a single spike in your heart rate. That's the architecture of freedom. It's silent. It's invisible. And retail banks absolutely hate it because they can't tax it. If you made it this far, you aren't part of the blind herd anymore. You're looking at the walls of the cage. Drop a comment below saying radioactive plastic. The people who clicked away after 3 minutes will have no idea what it means. But we'll know you're awake. Hit the like button, subscribe, and join the ones who are quietly finding the exit. My name is Daniel Rath, and I'll see you outside the maze.